Hey kids, it's Miss Seeger. How's it going? We're going to read the next chapter in Grace. It's called The Storm. So let's go over a few vocabulary words. Storm. Storm. 4 sounds. And a storm can be just a little bit of rain and wind, or a lot of rain and wind and thunder and lightning. Then you have the word thunder. Thunder. Thunder is the sound. So, you see lightning, but you hear the thunder. So that's why I put the picture of the man with his fingers in his ears, because thunder can be loud. So remember, thunder is the sound. The lightning is the light you see. But the sound that you hear is thunder, and you usually hear it and see it in a storm. So there will be a storm in this story. Now here's the word gust. You can say gust of wind, or the wind is gusting. And that's another way for saying the wind is blowing. But a gust sometimes can be pretty fast. You're going to hear the word weeping in this story. Weeping is another word for crying. You're going to hear the word wince. People wince if something hurts or if they're afraid. And the little girl in the story will be afraid. She's wincing because of the scary weather. You'll hear the 2 words, knees knock. People's knees knock together if they're really frightened or nervous. And scamper off means to run away. And then take shelter. In this story, the people will take shelter in a basement that's underground. We don't have storm shelters like that in Louisiana because we have more hurricanes where you just pack up and go away for a few days. In the Midwest, where Grace lives, they do have tornado outbreaks, and many people have a shelter under the ground, okay? So let's go read. The storm. There is a big storm on the farm. Dark clouds have blocked out the moon and stars. Thunder booms in the darkness. Gusts of wind sweep past the barn. Grace is in bed with the book she got at the yard sale. She is not scared of the thunder. In fact, she likes it. She sleeps better when there is a storm. But Jill is not as brave as Grace. Just as Grace is drifting off to sleep, her sister yells in a scared voice. Grace jumps out of bed and runs into Jill's room. Jill is sitting up in bed. She is weeping and grabbing her legs. She winces when the thunder booms. Her knees knock when the wind gusts. So now what does that tell you about this big sister? She's a nice big sister. She's spending time with her sister. She goes into her sister's room who is so frightened. I think that's very kind of her. So here, Grace is reading a book and she likes the way the rain sounds. She hears her sister crying and she goes to help her. And that would be a good place to stop and practice. Now let's read the next page. What's the matter, Jill? Grace asks, kneeling next to the bed. I'm scared, says Jill. Grace hugs her sister and sits next to her on the bed. It's just a summer storm. We will be safe inside the house. Her big sister's words make Jill feel better. The hug helps too, but there is still one thing that has her scared. Uh-oh. Remember they live on a farm? The ducks, she says. Will they be safe out in the storm? Yes, Grace says. Those ducks are smart. When the thunder booms, they scamper off and take shelter. They will be just fine. Jill smiles and says, I am glad the ducks have a safe place to run to in the storm. That makes me feel better. So you should pause the video and reread if you need to. Now we're going to work on the questions. Describe the storm on the farm. So that means tell about the storm. The storm is big. The storm is small. The storm is noisy. Let's go see specifically what they say in the reader. How did they describe that storm? There is a big storm on the farm. So we can say the storm is big. Dark clouds have blocked out the moon and stars. Thunder booms in the darkness. Gusts of wind sweep past the barn. So I can say there is a big windy storm with thunder. That's what I'm going to say. I can use these words and then put it into my own words. Now let's see if I hold this steady. I might be able to write on this page. Okay. The storm is big with wind and loud. I'm going to use the word loud. Loud thunder. Well, it's not too easy to write with your finger. Oh, and it won't go off the page. I'll put thunder down here. Thunder. Period. So it's not perfect, but it'll work. The storm is big with wind and loud thunder. Okay? And then let me stop the notes. There's a big storm on the farm. Dark clouds have blocked out the moon and stars. We just put it in our own words, and that was on page 26. So you could put page 26 down there. Now, did Grace like the storm? So you have to go back and see which sister liked the storm. Yes, Grace did like the storm, or no, Grace did not like the storm. But I'm going to let you find out. I'm going to read it to you again. Grace is in bed with the book she got at the yard sale. Does that tell us if she likes the storm? She is not scared of the thunder. In fact, she likes it. She sleeps better when there is a storm. So somewhere in that paragraph, I believe you have the answer. You go back and try to make the answer on your own, okay? And write a nice answer. Did Jill like the storm? So you have to go back and read. But Jill is not as brave as Grace. Just as Grace is drifting off to sleep, her sister yells in a scared voice. Grace jumps out of bed and runs into Jill's room. Jill is sitting up in bed. She is weeping and grabbing her legs. Well, does that tell you whether or not she likes it? So when you go back, you have to write, yes, Jill likes the storm, or no, Jill does not like the storm. She is what? Try to write me a nice answer, and you can take a picture of your work and email it to me. What did Grace tell Jill to make her feel better? What does Grace tell Jill to make her feel better? Oh, we got to go back and find it. What's the matter, Jill? Grace asks, kneeling next to the bed. I'm scared, says Jill. Grace hugs her sister and sits next to her on the bed. It's just a summer storm. We will be safe inside the house. Her big sister's words make Jill feel better, and the hug helps too. So reread that and try to make your answer. Grace tells Jill, and you have to write what Grace tells Jill, okay? Use Grace tells Jill, and then try to make your own answer. And there are some sorting activities with this lesson, so let's read them. Sense, knit, dinner, knee, nerve, running, winner, scent, not, fence. So in this activity, they just want you to realize there are at least 3 ways to spell You can get with 1 N, with 2 N's, with KN. You can write all of this on a piece of paper too and take a picture. I got you started. Sense and knit. All right? Well, where would dinner go? 1 N, 2 N's, KN. Where would knee go? 1 N, 2 N's, KN. You can write that out and send it to me with the questions. And there's one last activity. Sometimes you have to double the N. And these are 4 words where you double the N. Okay? Tan, tanned, tanning. Grin, grinned, grinning. Plan, planned, planning. Scan, scanned, scanning. So when you add the ED to these words, you have to have 2 letter N's. When you add the ING to these words, you have to have 2 letter N's. So you should write that on the paper too. Write this on the paper. Write this on the paper. And don't forget to write the answers to your questions on the paper. Okay, kids? And I'll see you on the next video.